All right. Good morning, peoples. Welcome to another Living Freestyle Game Dev live stream. We work this as a game dev Q&A AMA, sort of like office hours. Come and go, ask questions as they relate to gaming, game dev, characters, Unreal Engine, everything like that. I am fortunate enough to work in games professionally, get to do this stuff every day, but I don't get to do everything at work. And there's a lot of cool stuff I miss out on. So this is a chance for us to stumble through some of the things that are not my area of expertise sometimes together. If we don't have any questions, there's nobody here, nothing's going on, I am working on my own game. Sort of still working on the exact status of, you know, third person, first person, etc. I love a lot of first person stuff. I love a lot of third person stuff. It's somewhere in the middle, maybe even both. But right now we need to get our foundations built, and we started, you know, building everything from scratch. Things are going pretty well with our AI and all that kind of stuff. We were learning a ton. And then Unreal Engine 5 came out, and we switched over to working with Lyra. Trying to do things the Lyra way, hoping that it is going to save us or make things a whole lot more robust in the future. It has been a royal pain in a lot of ways, but we are also still learning a ton, which is sort of the goal. And it looks like, based on, you know, looking through stuff, previous videos and so on, that we do not have any questions to go over. Let me just double check one more time. And so what that means is we're gonna hop right back into where we were. And yeah, no questions in previous streams, so that's good to go. Let's see if we just totally messed up. No, we didn't. All right, so with that, we're gonna hop right back into where we left off and what we were doing, and that was we were working on weapons, items, the equipment system, trying to wrap our head around how all that works in Lyra. And so basically there's two things. We have two goals over the next, I don't even know how long it's going to take us. We're going to create a new weapon, and we want to have the ability to create a new kind of, not ability, but equipment item, an ice grenade. We realized that the ice grenade was going to be particularly fun, and so last time I was talking about, let's just see if we can quickly bust out a new weapon. So basically I'm looking at the ability sets in the shooter hero, and I think the easiest thing for us to do is going to be come back to our weapon folder, which is here, weapons, and then let's just make a new one. Let's see if we can do maybe a beam cannon or ice beam gun. Ice. The reason I want to do something with ice is because it could be fire, it could be ice, it could be whatever. The point is, what I want to do is, fire would probably be easier than ice. I want to get into the gameplay effects and doing different kinds of damage and stuff like that as part of this. You know, like I said in one of my earlier intros, I learned by doing things and stumbling through that. So I think let's take the rifle and let's duplicate it. Melee instance heal and weapon instance base. So let's just take the rifle and we'll duplicate this. I guess you can't just duplicate a whole folder. All right, so let's make a new folder. A new folder, and let's call this beam cannon. Beam cannon. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to see if I can minimize some of these things so I can make sure I can keep an eye on the chat. There we go. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into this folder. Nothing, oh yeah, nothing's there because, and let's just grab all of this and move it to beam cannon. And let's copy it. Okay. All right, so I think everywhere we have rifle, we're gonna replace with beam cannon. So let's take all of these, and if we right click, there's an asset actions. Oh, where'd it go? There used to be a rename here. That's kind of weird. There was a bulk rename here. At least there is at work. Oh. Let's just try one. Oh, that's really wild because I'm pretty sure. Hold on a second. UE5 bulk rename. Battery name UE4 bulk rename assets. Is this something we have to turn on? Let's check plugins. Interesting. I'm basically taking a look through to see. That is wild. I'm gonna have to check and see because I thought that was a default Unreal thing, but I guess not. Oh, okay. Well, if not, we'll be writing that tool one day. So let's just change this to beam cannon. We'll just do it by hand. It's not that many assets. Weapon pickup data. Rifle. Reticle rifle. It's interesting. Because we want the ammo for this thing to work more like a electrical beam. We're going to have to. This is going to be interesting to try to build this. Okay. I am fully expecting that we are going to. Making this work should be pretty straightforward. Like creating a new weapon. I could eat my words here, but theoretically, the idea is you just duplicate these things and you're good to go. Now, it would be awesome if we didn't even have to do that. What I mean is if we could just have a data table, for example, but there's pluses and minuses to that workflow. Almost there, we got a couple more to go. Beam cannon. Blueprint. Beam cannon. And we got our ability set for shooter. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we did this in the shooter core content. And I'm wondering if we would have wanted to do that in our own plugin. We'll leave it here for now. Let's make some adjustments to our... Now remember, for you to see what's going on here, you gotta open the full blueprint editor. This is the skeletal mesh that's being used. It's this SK rifle. We can see it here. We could probably add some stuff, you know. Maybe let's add a sphere. Can I add a cylinder? Oh, there's no cylinder there. Interesting. Man, it feels like I'm missing so much right now because there's a whole modeling panel that I'm not seeing. Chaos. Physical animations. Decals. And this is wild. Interesting. Alright, well, let's just put a sphere in here for right now. Reason being is, oops, undo. I want to make sure that, you know, the gun that we're using visually we can quickly identify that it's not the same weapon. So we'll just put a sphere at the end of this. And then what we can also do is on this skeletal mesh, let's go find this weapon rifle. Weapons, rifle material. Weapons. Pistol. This is interesting. Where is this? UI. It's interesting that that's part of, is that part of you? Okay, no, it's not part of UI. This is in the, it's just in the all content folder. This isn't even part of the Lyra plugin itself. So, okay. Shotgun probably would have been a good one to copy instead of the rifle, but that's okay. All the sounds, materials, and everything like that. So let's just add a folder called Beam Cannon Serial Killer 17. Good morning. Good to have you back. How are we doing? This is a beam cannon we're making. Beam cannon. Okay, and inside here we need a materials folder. Just to reflect the same structure. And then let's copy this into here. All right, and then let's adjust this. Okay. Weapon tent, that's what I want. Let's make it pink. Or, actually the beam ice cannon, let's make it blue. Just super bright blue. Okay, this way we can make sure that we're actually, you know, using that material. And then if we go back to our beam cannon, we can assign that material. So we have, it's blue now, right? Okay, should be cool. Hold on a second, let's go back here. Browse. Okay, so we've renamed everything. We have a different visual. All of this stuff should be good to go. Now, is that enough? Is that enough? So this is the weapon spawner that we have selected here. And what we want to do is we want to take a look at weapon pickup data shotgun. Where does that live? Okay, cool. And then for beam cannon, we have weapon data beam cannon. That's the one we're going to use now. Okay, now there's a trick in here. Even though we duplicated all this stuff, a bunch of these things may still point to the shotgun. So we need to take a look and make sure that our weapon pickup data for the beam cannon is actually correct. So yeah, see, this points to the item definition of ID rifle. We need this to point to ID beam cannon. The mesh, oh, bummer. They're using a static mesh. Okay, that's fine. Let's, this is an all content. So let's go back to our beam cannon. And we need a mesh folder. New folder, mesh. And we're going to take our beam cannon. Incidentally, why am I copying all this stuff? So that, if you're wondering that would be a good question. So the reason I'm copying these things is because it seems like I'm duplicating data, right? It seems like I'm just making a copy of the same static mesh. And so, you know, a lot of the whole point of a lot of these things is we can override materials, we can change the way they inherit stuff and everything like that. Why would we make a duplicate? In this particular case, the reason I'm making a duplicate is because these are stand-ins. I am fully expecting that the beam cannon is going to have its own mesh, it's going to have its own model, it's going to have its own effects. So all I'm doing is creating a placeholder for the real ones. And if this were just a variant, for example, let's say that we get to a point where, and I think ultimately this is where we should go with this example. So we create a beam cannon, right? Then we make an ice beam and a fire beam and a poison beam and all these kinds of things. We wouldn't duplicate all of those things. We would use all of the inheritance stuff to kind of instead. And so that's why in this particular case, I'm actually duplicating it rather than doing the other way around. So anyways. Serial killer, were you the one that was asking about how to break in last time? Or you were the one that was asking about the data bloat of everything in data tables versus actually just you know, creating all the single assets. All right, so we're gonna take this rifle static mesh and we're gonna copy this to the beam cannon. Okay, that's what I thought. I had some other thoughts on college versus, you know, tech schools for animation and things like that I was gonna throw out if that was you. All right, so this we're gonna rename to static mesh beam cannon because we're going to replace this one day. Beam cannon. Okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, because of what we're talking about right now, and because you were asking about data tables and versus actors and things like that, the other interesting thing about the conversations that I've had in the past about that around data tables versus the actual actors themselves has to do with it's kind of a performance thing, but basically the ability for you to package it all and the ability to preload stuff. And so if Unreal doesn't know, from what I understood from some of our engineers, it was, you know, when everything's in this data table, figuring out what gets packaged and preloaded and so on, it's not like it's just readily apparent. There was some work that had to be done around that. That was another little bit of that conversation. Anyways, back to our beam cannon. We're going to use the beam cannon material. which is here. And we should rename this to beam cannon actually. Beam cannon. All right, and then let's put that on there. And then let's go back to our weapon pickup data for our beam cannon, and let's put our beam cannon in here. Beam cannon. Okay, so we now have, this is all the weapon pad collectibles. We have our beam cannon static mesh, and then we have our identifier for our beam cannon. That should be all in there. Let's save all. And then let's go back to play. Okay, our other actor is still playing not smart. It looks like, it does not look like a beam cannon to me. Oh wait, there's two in there. There's two weapons in here. It looks like it picked up a shotgun. So something's up. Oh, we have two weapon pickups. That would do it. Okay, so let's delete this one. And let's put our, that definitely looks like a beam cannon to me. It's blue. All right, let's play again. Yes, okay. So we now have our blue beam cannon. All right, when we pick it up, however, we do not have a blue beam cannon. We have a white shotgun. So my guess is, like I was saying, a lot of these things within the pickup stuff is probably not pointing to the right thing. So let's go back to that. Browse. All right, so we have our weapon instance beam cannon. This is firing. These are the anim sets. That all looks fine. We're gonna keep it as shotgun. Fire beam cannon auto, reload beam cannon. Gameplay notify, ID beam cannon. This one seems suspect. Let's look at this. Look at this. It's loading the rifle. So let's look for beam cannon in here. What? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, I'm making a beam cannon. Serial Killer 17 is asking, what am I making, by the way? I'm actually making a beam cannon, theoretically. Or do you mean broader picture? Okay, so this is a great example of just what we're finding in Lyra, and why this seems bonkers at times. We had just created, down here in the shooter core content, under weapons, this beam cannon folder. And in the beam cannon folder, we had our blueprint, right? And our blueprint skeletal mesh points to the SK rifle with a different material on it. And we added this circle in the front of it. But apparently, this is not the rifle skeletal mesh that gets it loaded in the game. I'm not even sure where this skeletal mesh is getting used. We would know because if what we do, let's just play this game. Okay, actually let's put something loud on here because I want to be able to know that. Let's do something red. Okay, it's gonna be super loud. When we pick this gun up, we don't actually see that. That's not the one we see. So, wait. Oh, I started on the opposite side. I don't see the giant red dot at the end of the beam cannon. When I pick up the beam cannon, there is no giant red dot. It's not even the same skeletal mesh. So, where the heck is this blueprint being used And why do we even need to update this cannon? I'm gonna leave this like this because hopefully when this does show up, I'll be able to ascertain why we even have this blueprint. But what this does mean is we need to go back to our folder with our beam cannon mesh in it, and we need to create a duplicate because we're actually using the skeletal mesh for this skeletal mesh instead. So let's copy this over, pop in here, and we're going to actually make the adjustments here in the details panel. And let's put the beam cannon on here. Beam cannon. So now we got our blue. Now the interesting thing is we're not going to be adding the sphere in front of this one, which is good because now we can differentiate between the actual blueprint for the beam cannon, the skeletal mesh for the beam cannon, and which one's being used where. And then we'll go back to our ID beam cannon and change this to this guy. But we do also need to rename this to beam cannon. Beam cannon. Beam cannon. Okay, so now we have our beam cannon. Okay, it's blue. We pick it up. Still not blue. Still not blue. Okay, so either I'm colorblind or we're missing something somewhere. So this clearly points to blue. Display name is beam cannon. All right. Display name beam cannon. Add color. Reticle widgets. It's all fine. File and save. Oh boy. Okay, so for our ID beam cannon, we are definitely picking up the beam cannon deal here. Equipable item, Lyra. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. You know, having all these nested item definitions and everything like this. We're still pointing the weapon ID rifle. And even though the skeletal mesh is specified here, because it's looking at this weapon ID rifle, we need to be weapon ID beam cannon. And weapon ID beam cannon is pointing to a B weapon instance rifle, which we don't want. We want the B weapon instance beam cannon. We'll change our ability set to the beam cannon ability set. Just while we're in here cleaning this up, we're gonna change our actor to spawn to be the beam cannon. And then, yep, weapon right, all that, we can stay the same. So let's save all again. And now maybe actually we get our beam cannon with a giant red dot. Let's find out. Yes, we do. Okay, so that is, oh my goodness. So that is the one that's being used. So now I'm like, wait, why did I jump like that? Okay, well, it works. It shoots. It shoots as a rifle right now. I guess what I'm confused by now. Oh, this is serial killer. This is exactly what you and I were talking about last time. This is like, everything is so just nested, and there's references to all this stuff all over the place, and the data tables and everything. So in the beam cannon, we're referencing the skeletal mesh, but that's not what's being used. This is in the inventory item definition, right? And so when we take a look at, it's interesting, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, your name is like your handle for cereal is the actual cereal that you eat, which is funny. But when you say it out loud without being able to read it, it sounds a little more ominous. Okay, so this one that is spinning does not have the red dot. So I have another idea. Let's do this. Let's go, I want to differentiate these two. Let's go to our beam cannon, the materials, and for this mesh, I want to create one more material. Okay, let's just take a quick look at the reference viewer. Yeah, this material is being used for the static mesh, the blueprint, and the actual skeletal mesh. Alright, so if we duplicate this, I'm going to duplicate this real quick, and we're going to update this to be 100, super bright, and then I want to use this on the skeletal mesh. Can't tell the difference, so let's go pink. Okay, what I want to look at is I want to see that's not even the pink one. So my thought was that it was using the pink one in the actual weapon item pickups, but it's not even using it there. So this thing here, like where, oh. All right, hold on a second. Let's go back to our beam cannon pickup and see, does it have its own material definitions in the, here's the weapon ID cannon. That's the blueprint. Okay. And weapon instance. Weapon pickup data beam cannon. This is referencing, yeah, see, this isn't even referencing that. This is referencing the static mesh. So it's not using that skeletal mesh. And the ID beam cannon is using the skeletal mesh. But this skeletal mesh is hot pink now. Cereal works just fine. Okay, I'm gonna go with cereal. You know what? I did the same thing 20 years-ish ago. Actually, longer than that for me. Anyways, I came up with what I thought genius handle was. Super smart, right? Dry D Rage was a handle that I used a lot. And what happened was I discovered that at the time I couldn't use 3D because it was taken. And so I was like, oh, I'll just use German. I'll use the German 3D. So that's actually in German 3D Rage. Well, I was all excited, thought this was a great idea. And then I've spent the next 30 years, 20 plus years explaining to everybody how to spell that. So every time I give somebody an email address or whatever my handle was for anything like that, I've had to spell it out, right? And it's like, even spelling it out is also a problem because phonetically D-R-E, D and E sound the same, and then there's another D after that, and so yeah, I can thank myself from 20 years ago for that in a similar fashion. Okay, so let's see here. What I'm watching for is I'm watching for a hot pink gun. I don't know if we're going to see it. Loster, you're back. Good morning. Lyra is, we're learning. We're making a beam cannon. You know, we're a little confused as to where the hot pink skeletal mesh is right now, but that's okay. We'll sort it out. It seems redundant, and I've just got to figure out why that is. But anyways, so this is our super fancy beam cannon. It's blue with a red dot at the end of it, so we know we have the right gun. We're able to shoot with it, and so on, right? Now here's the interesting thing. It's kind of working, y'all, right? We created a new weapon, and at this point, we should be able to modify everything about this weapon that we want to. So how about we change some things and see if that is truly the case. So for our beam cannon, this is a GA weapon fire beam cannon auto. And this does damage based on a rifle auto fire, which is in a rifle folder. Okay. I think what we need to do to clean this up properly is, let's just do some reference viewer stuff on this real quick. So let's do a reference viewer on this. I want to make sure it's not referencing anything in the rifle folder. All right, so for example, this is referencing the rifle folder for the rifle auto fire. So let's change that. And that should be rifle beam cannon auto. That's what we're going to use. Weapon reload is going to be the beam cannon reload. And then this is going to be GA auto reload is just part of generic. Okay, so we can keep that. That's great. That one's clean. Beam cannon should be good. Let's just double check the reference here again. Alt Shift R. This is referencing bullets, generic weapon stuff. I don't like, okay. Beam cannon. It's referencing the rifle animations. That's okay for right now because we don't have updates for this. The interesting thing is this is actually referencing the rifle skeletal mesh. So let's take a look at this and make sure. Oh, interesting. We may have just found why our weapon is blue. Yes. Okay, we found it. All right. Remember when I was talking about how we had two different skeletal meshes being referenced and things like that? What was happening was we were overwriting the material, so it just didn't look like it. And now I believe when we pick up our beam cannon, it should be hot pink. It's hot pink with a red dot. So that is, in fact, using that skeletal mesh. Now the interesting one is, as we go through this, we're gonna find out why the pickup data still looks blue though. Spread fire distance. These are the things that we're gonna be updating. That's fine. And beam cannon auto, we're gonna be updating that. This shouldn't have Oh, actually it does have other references in it. So is there a beam cannon damage in here? Nope. Where does this live? GE damage rifle auto. GE damage beam cannon auto. That seems fine. That's the reload. What a mess. Beam cannon. Beam cannon fire. Beam cannon auto damage. That's fine. We can just roll with that for now. Here's the beam cannon itself. Okay, so let's take a look at the reference viewer on this dude. Some of these things we're gonna keep because we're not gonna take the time to do all this stuff. We're just trying to make sure that W ammo counter rifle. We could keep that for now. That's fine. Magazine size and spare ammo. That's fine. Yes. Pink weapons. Alright, and let's take a look at this dude. The pickup data is referencing the static mesh for the beam cannon. That's why the pickup is still blue, because the static mesh is blue. And the ID for the beam cannon, I think we already looked at. It's using that skeletal mesh. Okay, cool. So I think I'm gonna keep this as hot pink for right now. But here's the ability set that's being granted. That ability set is giving us beam cannon. Okay, so now we're gonna start pulling the threads of how to make our beam cannon different. And to do that, we're gonna start getting into a lot of the gameplay abilities and gameplay effects. And so we have our fire auto, and let's just start with this. And what I want is when I click on these things, I know I'm changing only the beam cannon because I don't want to actually change the rifle, which is why, you know, I went through the extra step of checking the references. We're still going to keep an eye out to make sure we don't accidentally mess this up. All right, so this is using the GE damage from rifle auto, which I don't believe is what we want. It's not. So what we want to use, the GE damage from beam cannon auto. So this is one of those cases where the animation can stay the same. And now we're gonna get into the tagging. Oh, we're gonna have to create a whole bunch of new tags too. Gameplay impact is rifle impact, and the game queue notify is rifle fire. So do we have a game queue notify here? We do. Okay, so if we open this one up and we look at our class defaults, this is using a gameplay queue tag called rifle fire. I know we need to change this. And there's no burst particles here. There's camera shake. Okay, so we need to add a new gameplay tag. And what we need is to create one in here. So we're gonna add beam cannon under weapon to reflect the same setup, right? So under weapon, we're gonna add a tag. We're gonna call this beam cannon. Okay. So, that's not quite what we wanted because we need to reflect the same structure. So underneath beam cannon, we need fire and impact to mirror what's being done so far. So let's add fire and impact. Okay, so now when we look at this, we should see it was fire that we were doing. So this should give us beam cannon fire. Now, when we do this, this is a game queue notify. This is not currently being used, right? We've just added the tag, and this is where not being able to trace the track, this is where not being able to trace the tags gets fun, because right now we have in our auto, we have this rifle impact and rifle fire. If we change this, before right now, this is still all gonna work because it's gonna look like rifle fire, and we can just verify that by hopping in and running over and picking up our beam cannon, which is pink. All right, when we shoot it, there's definitely an error up there, right? We still have stuff, and we still have muzzle flash and everything like that. So let's start changing some of this as some placeholders. And the way we're going to change it is we're going to change it using this game queue notify. So Serial is saying we thought we could track references in project settings. Where in project settings? Like, you can see the tags here, yes, right? You can, all of these are updated in the project settings. But what I mean is, show me every blueprint that is using the beam cannon fire tag. I have not found a way to find that yet. Right, so all the gameplay tags are here, right? But I don't know a way to, if we come down, for example, to weapon. So here's our beam cannon fire tag, right? It's absolutely here. But how do I now find, show me every blueprint that is actually referencing it? Click these arrows. Oh, look at that. Search for references. Dude, Serial's a genius. Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, that's great. But that means actually we should be able to do that then in here as well. My hero. See, this is why we do this stuff. This is cool. Okay, so if we're editing this now, I believe we can do that same thing here. Search for references. Yes, we can. So it's not just there. Anywhere we can find them. That's cool. That's gonna make life a lot easier for future stuff. Okay. Thank you for that, Serial. All right, so now what we were doing is we were updating the reload beam cannon game queue notify. I've just lost it. It was somewhere. Game queue notify beam cannon fire. This is the one. So what does this thing do? It has burst particles, and the burst particles have nothing in them. Burst decals. That's the force feedback. Camera animate, camera shake, camera space. But I don't see. We need to find the muzzle flash. I want to change the muzzle flash. Because this is the impact. Oh, I wonder if it's in the montage. Are they putting effects in the montage? No, they're not. So it's not in the montage. That's the so it's not a gameplay effect. Is there an activate failure? Tags. Weapon fire, no fire. Oh, I wonder if all the weapons use the same. Let's see. Do they all use the same visual display? No, that's more of a. That looks different than. Yeah, that's definitely different. Okay, so they're not using the same thing. So it is. I'm guessing it is, and that's exactly what it. So Lolster is saying is muzzle flash and Niagara system, and I believe it is. So if we look at the interesting thing though is it's not included in this what I would consider the visuals. So let's just go to all. Let's just see if they actually called it muzzle. Muzzle flash, smoke, flipbook, starburst. Okay, so this is the Niagara effect. This is probably being used by the Niagara system somewhere. Let's find out which one. Oh, a bunch of them. Okay. Oh, no, it's not actually. Okay, it doesn't look like it's that one's being used. Here we go. Weapon fire, muzzle flash, rifle. Okay, and this is in the particles, weapons. Oh, there's a whole folder we missed. Okay, so content. Effects. Particles. Weapons. Weapons. Weapon fire, muzzle flash, rifle. Alright. Reference viewer on this one. This is being used. Hold on a second. The beam cannon's using it, and so is the rifle. That makes sense because we obviously missed that. What's confusing to me is where that's being used in the beam cannon. Or is it using the... No, it can't be using it. There's no way we didn't change that. Class defaults? Oh my goodness. Okay, so they put this in the class defaults for the weapon. So here's our muzzle flash for the rifle. Now, as a sanity check, good call, Ulster. So as a sanity check, let's just check the pistol. This is in the... What blueprint am I in right now? Beam, yeah. So if we look at the pistol, it's a sanity check, and we scroll down. Yeah, see, the muzzle flash is just weapon fire standard. Yeah, exactly. I know. Ulster's like, wait, where'd the... Anyways, so we can see that there's clearly a different muzzle flash for the pistol as opposed to the rifle and what is now the beam cannon. Now the interesting thing is, for our beam cannon, what I want to do... Oh god, that's not even the right beam cannon. Let's go back to our beam cannon, and in our weapon defaults. I think this is also... Hi Paytel. welcome to the stream. Okay, so I think this is kind of like what I was talking about, or what we were talking about last week, or Monday or Sunday, with Serial, right? Having all these things in different areas, it just would seem like I am hoping we are going to have an epiphany at some point in the future once we've wrapped our head around all this stuff, and we're going to say, it's all going to click, and we're going to say, that's why all these things are broken out, because it makes it easier to do this one thing. So far, I'm not there yet. Right now, this seems like a wild scavenger hunt. So let's just continue our scavenger hunt, and what we're going to do is, for our beam cannon, we are going to create a new Niagara system. And also, it's weird to me that they group everything by the type of weapon, but once we get to the effects folder, it's all separate. So let's just duplicate this, and we're going to do a quick Niagara update to create a beam cannon one. And so let's open this Niagara system. Okay, and it's thinking. Well, I don't see it, but that's okay. We can still figure out what we want. These are going to be the sparks. And those are colors. And this is the flip book. And again, the colors. So for speed and ease, we're just going to change them to blue. So we're not even going to change the values. We're just going to go to blue because our beam cannon is going to do freezing effects, right? Let's move everything over to blue. And these are stand-ins. They'll get replaced. Smoke. Do we even want smoke? Let's keep the smoke on, because what we're going to do is we're going to turn it off after we confirm that this is actually working. So let's go back to our beam cannon, and then let's change our muzzle flash to be the muzzle flash for the beam cannon. Now let's go and play. Pick up our beam cannon and watch our muzzle flash. Yes, it worked. So now we don't have the red hot, we have the blue, which is cool. All right, and if we go back to our Niagara system, we can turn off the smoke just by clicking that box. This is one of the cool things about Niagara. The ability to basically do non-linear type editing of effects and stuff. Okay, so now we should not have smoke. I don't see smoke anymore. That's cool. Okay, so we're definitely using our new Niagara system, which is cool. I think what we need to do is we can either make the bullets ice bullets, or we can actually add a beam to the end of this thing. We need to think about that. Let's take a look at how we want to do this. So the beam cannon class defaults. So this is our muzzle flash for the beam cannon. We have a shell eject. I don't think we need one. If we, let's just, oh, where did that go? Where'd that go? Lyra. Let's try just getting rid of shell eject for our beam cannon and see if that breaks anything. Oh no, you know what? I know what we can do. We can change the shell. I know, yeah, this will be way cooler. What we'll do is so there's no shells ejecting now. That's fine, okay? But what we can do is we can change our shell eject to be, rather than being a shell, let's do sparks. Like ice particles or something. So weapon fire, shell eject, and let's duplicate this and make it a beam cannon. Beam cannon. And then in here, what are we doing? We're shell eject is, it's an emitter, roger that. Is this thing emitting static meshes? It is. It's emitting static meshes of rifle shells. So okay, this is a really good example. We're actually going to take this as an opportunity to wrap up today, I think. What is happening right now? I'm kind of going into the weeds. I'm excited that we're making progress, and I'm thinking, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the beam cannon ejected, you know, little particles of ice instead of shotgun shells or whatever. And this is a classic. This is the artist in me. I want to make cool stuff. But the thing is, we're not ready for cool stuff. We don't need cool stuff. We don't even have basic gameplay yet. And so the idea that I'm gonna sit here and spend time noodling on whether or not we're ejecting shotgun shells or nothing at all is not staying focused on the goal, right? And the goal is to get to a playable prototype as fast as possible, and then we can artify it afterwards. And so, as much fun as it would be to create, you know, these cool little effects that pop off that look like ice crystals or sparks instead of, you know, actual physical shotgun shells. No, we're not gonna do that. I'm gonna you know, hold the line, hold the line. And what we're going to do is we're going to just remove the particle ejection. We know that it will work later. That's fine. We have faith in that. It's going to work. And then we're going to focus on what we actually need to do, which is we do need to update, you know, the characteristics of how the beam cannon fires. And that may involve creating a beam, like a long beam for us to shoot from. And at the end of that beam, we'll have like a collision, or maybe along the beam we have collisions. We'll have to figure out, that's actually like a game tech thing. That would be a feature that we want to implement, as opposed to getting lost in the art. And so this happens a lot with me. I think this probably happens with all of us. There's something that distracts us a little bit from the actual overall goal. So I'm holding the line, and next time we are going to continue on our beam cannon stuff and figure out how to make an actual beam that comes out of this. But so far, we're making progress, duplicating all the stuff, wrapping our heads around, you know, kind of how the weapons are set up. And once we get the beam figured out, then we'll get into the ice grenade. So that wraps up today. Did any of you all have any questions before I close this out? Serial Loster Patel, thanks for coming. I appreciate the help, especially, you know, the quick tips. As I've said before, dude, UE4 is huge. There's no way one person knows all this stuff. And so I very much appreciate the tips and the, you know, just you all being here as sounding boards. So thank you. Now there's a delay in the chat, so I'm gonna actually hold on for one more quick second to confirm that there weren't any last minute questions. I hope you all have an amazing day, and we will be back again Sunday night. And maybe I'll cheat a little bit and work ahead to see if I can't get some of the stuff with the beam cannon set up. And while I do that, of course I will recap that when we come back. Cool? Have a great day, everybody.